Here's 7. I have had my bentos, pictures of my bentos published in a couple of books, 501 bento boxes, and see how pretty, and face food. And I have an ongoing blog where I post pictures of my bentos and explain things how to do them. So, how many of you guys already know what bentos are? All right, good start. How many of you actually own a bento box and do anything with it? Okay. How many of you are interested in making really, really cute boxes? Okay. Versus normal traditional Japanese food. Okay. Well, since this is an overview panel, I'm going to try and touch on everything, but you're welcome to ask questions if there's something I don't mention. Also, I'm located in the Artist Alley, so anytime over the course of the weekend, come by, give me questions. I love to talk about bentos. Okay, so let me see. Getting started. So you already pretty much know what bento boxes are. They're these cute little, mainly plastic in the modern era, boxes that you pack food in. The idea of a bento box is packing food tightly so that it does not shift in transit. Pretty simple, but it can take some practice. So my number one tip for people who want to do bento lunches for themselves is be patient with yourselves. So you can see this one, my bento creations. This was not how I started out. My first bentos did not look pretty. So just don't give up and be patient. So, here we go. I'm going to show you some pictures of my bentos. Because most of my bentos are made for my 7-year-old daughter, they are kyaraben, which are character bentos. Although I do also end up making bentos for myself, which are more traditional classic bentos. And I make some occasionally for my husband, which are more manly bentos. So in Japan, the largest consumers of bentos are children. It's pretty much mandated in Japanese kindergartens that kindergartners must bring a bento lunch with them to school every day. It's a big, big, big industry. There are tons of magazines, books, tools, all related to making food cute so that the kindergartners will eat it. There are social stigmas attached. If a child does not actually finish all of the food that is in their bento box, the parent who prepared the food is kind of frowned upon because they didn't make a good enough lunch. So this is a huge industry for making children eat their lunches. So there's also a lot of other people who take bentos. Office workers often take bentos, students, high school students often take bentos, but they make them a little bit more traditional and elegant rather than ultra, ultra cute. So I'm gonna just continue some pictures. So in America, bentos are done mainly for adults, but they're growing popularity for making bentos for children to take to school too. And in America, we often do not adhere to traditional Japanese food. We often slide in some American favorites as well, so don't worry about having to learn how to cook Japanese food in order to make yourself bentos. Let's see. This is one of my favorites. So you can see this is one of those things where pancakes are not a traditional Japanese food. I end up making a lot of lunches easier for myself by having what I call a freezer stash. So I get a big box of miniature Eggo pancakes, stick it in the freezer. It takes me just a few seconds to warm up the pancakes and we're ready to go. Oh no, come on, really? Seriously.
You can exit off.
well, I don't have a mouse. There we go. That was embarrassing. All right, so this is one of my bentos for my husband, who's a Star Wars fan. Not that I'm not a Star Wars fan, but I also do cute things for myself. So I'll go into more of the design elements in a little bit. I just kind of want to give you an overview. So here are more traditional, elegant, more adult bentos. These are the bentos I do for myself. I've been known to create excuses for making bentos for myself. Here's another example of non-traditional Japanese food. I put spaghetti in my bento. So I'm going to have her start passing around a few things so you guys can look at. Some of the books that I mentioned in Japan, which are high industry type books. You have the cute Charabin books for the kindergartners. So will you take those and pass them around over there?
She's a great little mouse.
Those together, please. And then you have more adult-oriented bento books. Pass those on the other side. And then you have, these are considered art bentos. So I know you can't see this now, but it'll be coming around in a second. This is actually the Mona Lisa in food. So this bento artist in Japan there are no words. There just are no words for her work. So go pass that one around. So here in America, they're starting to really understand that people love bentos. So we're starting to get a lot of bento books in English with recipes and things like that, which is phenomenal. Just go on Amazon and go bento, and you can find all kinds of wonderful things. So, on to the fun stuff. So you can see a lot of bentos in anime and manga. Let's see if I can remember who all these are. Okay, this one's from Naruto. There's a scene in the very beginning when Naruto is not going to get lunch for some reason, and Sakura shares her bento box with him. So this is one of your classic bentos. It's got a lot of rice. It's got an umeboshi, and it's got some other stuff too. This is a screen capture from Blue Seed. It's a pretty old anime now. You guys may or may not have heard of it. But the main character, Momiji, wants to make a romantic bento lunch for her love interest. And so she starts looking at all these romantic bento magazines. So this one's from Azumanga Daioh. Again, a very, very classic bento. Another one from Azumanga Daioh. You can see by the beautiful soft Hollywood lighting how important this bento is. This one's from Kamichu. This is Yurie's bento lunch. It shows for like, I swear, 1.5 seconds during the opening sequence. I love this bento. So here's one from Kakeshi. Again, I will go ahead and tell you that my Japanese pronunciation stinks. I'm a good old Southern girl, so if you know that I'm mispronouncing a Japanese word, please tell me. It won't offend me. It helps us all. Some Lucky Star bentos. This one's by Tsukasa, who does a really good job of cooking and makes a really kind of nice, solid bento. The next one is by Kagami, who is not really good at cooking, so her bento is kind of sloppy, and she just kind of stuffed some stuff in there. It doesn't look nearly as pretty, so she takes some ribbing for that. This one is by Miyuki. Her bento is very, very rich. It's got rich foods in it, from particularly the rolled omelet. Now we're getting into an overview of the history of the bento. I will try to rush through this as quickly as possible, but I think it's very important to have the history behind us. All right, so the beginning of bentos. We have recordings of packed lunches and bento lunches from the 700s. They're written about a little tiny mention in the Kojiki, which is the oldest written book of the Japanese culture. The first bento were bamboo sheets, woven leaves, or wicker boxes. They were used by hunters and farmers to carry their lunches while they went to work. The word bento is said to have been originated by a military commander. You guys might be familiar with this guy. He's Oda Nobunaga. He had to feed large numbers of people in his castle, so he created the bento lunch to feed them all equal portions. In the mid-1500s, they were not called bento yet. Nobunaga had not quite coined the phrase yet. They were called minko, which were used by soldiers in the battlefield. In the 1600s, you start getting fancy with them. You have the rise of performing arts, and so bentos kind of went with that rise. One thing during that period are I'm going to horribly mispronounce this, makanocho bento, which literally means behind the scenes bento. They were served during intermission at kabuki, bunraku, and other performances. Let's see. Next, we get into late period bentos, ekiben. So ekiben are train station bentos. They're incredibly popular in Japan. I'm sure you all know a little bit about those. The first ekiben was sold in 1885, and since then it has boomed into an incredibly large industry in Japan. People will actually tour Japan, train tours to sample all of the different ekiben regional delicacies throughout the country. So, onward and upward to the top. This is a hangatsu, or a half-moon bento. That refers to the shape of the bento box. This shape was reputedly favored by Sen no Rikyu, who established the art of the tea ceremony in the Momoyama period. This is a shokado bento, which is based on the partitioned paint boxes that Shokado Shoujo, who was an Edo period painter, used. They usually consist of a square box that is divided into 4 equally sized compartments. Will you pass that around, please? It doesn't matter. Just go. So these are often, in the modern era, seen in restaurants. You see them with these really awesomely beautiful porcelain dishes in the compartments and such. This is my shokado box that is going around the room. It is plastic, which is much cheaper than a real lacquer shokado bento box. I use it mainly for picnics. That box packs way too much food for just one person. So whenever my family and I are going on a big road trip or going on a picnic, we pack that thing full, and it feeds all 3 of us. Next, here's a really shoddy picture of a train station bento, just, so you can get the idea. This is a poster showing different train station bentos that you can get. All right, now we get into more of the fun stuff. So traditionally, there are rules associated with bentos. I myself try to adhere to these rules, but it doesn't always happen. So part of these rules were established out of traditional Buddhist ideas about food and about life, particularly the goshiki, or the 5 colors. But I'm just going to go through them just because they're kind of cool. So, number 1, bento ratios. In a traditional Japanese bento, you will see 3 parts of a carbohydrate, usually rice, although these days a lot of times they add noodles or pasta or bread instead, to 2 parts fruits and vegetables, to 1 part protein. Then we have goshiki, which is the 5 colors. So this rule indicates that you must have 5 colors, in every bento. There's goho, which is 5 methods, which is using 5 different cooking methods for each bento. That's the one that I usually fail on. Because when I'm cooking a lunch early in the morning and trying to get out the door, cooking 5 different ways just doesn't cut it. So I let that one slide. Then there's also gomi, which is 5 flavors. You want to have one thing of each of these different 5 flavors in your bento. So going over this bento, you see we have the white from the rice. We have the hair bow and the little heart are orange from carrots. We have the brown from the soba noodles. We have the green from steamed broccoli and from the bubble wrap. And we have the tomato, which counts for the red. So in my terminology, lettuce is bubble wrap. Basically, you use lettuce in a bento to protect the food and pack it in nice and tightly so that it does not shift when you're carrying it around. It also makes it look really, really, really pretty. All right, so here's an example of a bento in which I broke the rules and tried to subterfuge it. Can anybody tell me what rule I broke?
The first one, the 2-1 rule.
Okay, well, there's 2 rules I broke anyway. The rule that you've got the curry sauce, which is on top of the rice. I left a little bit of rice to get the white color in my colors rule. But I had absolutely nothing in my pantry or in my fridge that was red. So I went to my cute picks collection and went, I need something red. Here we go. That's red. Doesn't matter that it's not food, right? So, you know, it's not always possible, but we do try.
But there's red in your little flour. You don't have to worry.
Yeah, but they're made out of sugar, so they don't really count as food, really. So in the, you see there's a silicone cup that is keeping the corn kind of contained. There's also on the side is a red container that is filled with ketchup. Behind the red pick are actually hash browns. So I packed some ketchup to go with them. So, how to fill a bento? I always put my carbs in first. They're the biggest thing. They need to be packed in before all the other stuff can go in. Generally, I will take rice and I will really, really pack it down. I want it nice and tight. I don't want it to move. Then I put in the veggies, then the protein. I always put in the fruit last so that it doesn't, squeeze all over everything or get mushed or whatever. Of course, then I have the lettuce, so if there are any remaining spaces in my bento where I feel like it's going to move around, I just cut off a piece of really, really, really neat looking lettuce and shove it down in there and pack it nice and tight. So I'm going to run through really quickly a simple bento. So this, you can't tell this from the picture whatsoever, but that rice is actually pink. I know it doesn't look pink, but I tried to get it pink. So the way that you make colored rice is you take a rice cooker and you put in the water and the rice, and then you put in gel food coloring. And then you stir it around, and when it finishes cooking, it comes out colorful. So we make pink rice, we make blue rice, we make orange rice, we make green rice. We make one of our favorite fall things to make is candy corn onigiri. So we'll make orange rice, yellow rice, white rice, and then we'll put it all together as a candy corn rice ball. But in any case, you can see where I used my biscuit cutter to kind of create a space in the center to make negative space. Then I filled that up with tofu soburo. Oh, that's right, I forgot to go through my vegetarian statement. Hi, I'm a vegetarian.
Hooray.
So all the things that could possibly be meat in my bentos are not really meat, they're fake meat. But they can be replaced with real meat at your convenience. So traditionally, this bento would be a beef soburo bento. I use tofu soburo instead. Then I added my cute piece of curly lettuce. Added some sauteed zucchini and onions. You can tell this is going to be an adult bento because there's zucchini in it. A miniature pepper. Then I added a container with feta cheese and 2 toothpicks with some baby tomatoes on them. And then there was a space behind it, so I just kind of stuffed that face in with a vegetable gyoza. Again, that's part of my freezer stash. I just kind of keep a huge bag of gyoza in my freezer and go, oh, I need something there. I'm going to get one thing. And it just takes a couple of seconds to microwave it or to steam it, and we're done. I added some black sesame seeds on top of the rice and soboro, mainly because it looked prettier that way. So there are a lot of ways to decorate a bento. A lot of my decorative techniques use cheese. That's mainly because I'm a vegetarian, so a lot of the traditional Japanese decorative techniques using kamaboko or other things that are meat I can't use. So I end up using a lot of cheese. I use egg sheets, I use vegetables. So I'll cut things out of zucchini, I'll cut things out of cucumbers, I'll cut things out of carrots. My favorite cheese to use is slices of provolone cheese that I find just in the cheese section. Provolone does not melt as easily as other cheeses do, so it tends to hold up a little bit more to me fudging with it and cutting it with scissors and cutting it with X-Acto knives. Yes, my bento tools are amazing. So, for these decorative materials, and I'll go through and show you some bentos and where I use these things later, you can do all kinds of cutters. So this is how I organize my cutters. These are all like plastic cutters for all kinds of different shapes. I just keep them in a big zippy bag so I can find them easily and they don't get lost all over my kitchen. So you can get them in all kinds of shapes and sizes. This is a bunny head shape. You saw this shape used earlier in the bento where I faked the red. They also sell these multi-pack things. So this has a flower, a star, a heart, a bow tie, and a plus shape all together in one. Plus the circle is very, very handy. Oh, you can pass these around, please. Doesn't matter where you start. The main thing to remember about trying to make decorative or carabin, you don't have to buy all these tools if you don't want to. I do because they're cute and they're lots of fun. I'm kind of addicted to it. But you can find cookie cutters, miniature cookie cutters from Wilton's at like Hobby Lobby and Michael's. And they come in heart shapes and teddy bear shapes. So they're very easy to find and they're not very expensive. But if you feel like you don't want to have to take up the space, you can just use an X-Acto knife and cut shapes out of food. And that's really fun too, as long as you don't cut yourself. So, you know, be careful.
That red coloring in?
Huh? Oh, right. That would be... Well, no, by the time you get to eat the lunch, then it would be brown. But, yeah. All right, so next we have decorative accessories, which are cups, picks, and dividers. So, here we go. We have here silicone cups in the shape of little hearts. You saw in some of the bento pictures just plain silicone cups. They're basically muffin cups. So again, you can buy these online from Japanese bento retailers, or you can go to Hobby Lobby and just find little silicone cups. They make hard plastic ones that come in the shapes of things like little houses. I have one in the shape of a cow's head that I find really difficult to use for some reason. These are some of my new ones that are really my new favorites. There's these little boxes. This one's a pig. And this one's a little chicken. So, but the top comes off and you put food inside it. It's really cool. Especially if you're trying to surprise your daughter and put candy corn in her lunch where she doesn't know it. Can you pass those around? All right, picks. So I love to use decorative picks. Again, I have a cute obsession. Don't know why. So a lot of the picks that I use end up being these really, really, really cutesy animal things. So she's going to pass around a pack of those. Again, if you are not interested in making really, really, really cute, girly-looking lunches, just regular, what are those things called? Toothpicks from the grocery store work just fine. I like picks. I like them a lot. I have to keep them organized in this nifty container, which you can also buy at craft stores. So, we also have dividers. I didn't bring any of my really cutesy dividers, but I brought sushi dividers. These are baran. You see them a lot of times in sushi. You can use them in bentos as well. A lot of times I prefer to use lettuce as a divider just because it's a little easier and I don't have to wash it afterwards. Let's see, I've already talked a little bit about the cookie cutters and stuff. So I'm going to talk about tools. So, you're all familiar with the concept of onigiri or rice balls, yes?
Yes.
Okay. So there are 3 ways to make rice balls. The traditional way is to get hot rice, dip your hands in very, very, very cold salted water, pick up the hot rice, and mush it into the shape that you want it to be in, right? Okay, works really well. It takes a little bit of practice, but it can also be really, really messy. So the second method of making onigiri is to take saran wrap, any type of cling wrap, put your rice in the middle of the cling wrap, twist the cling wrap around it, and then mold your rice into shape using the cling wrap. That keeps your hands from getting as sticky. The third way is by using onigiri molds. Now, onigiri molds are extremely popular in Japan. They come in an incredible range of sizes and shapes. So this one is to make little balls, with just normal round little balls. That sounds really bad. This one is a teddy bear shape or a frog shape. This is a multi one, which comes with a heart, star, flower, triangle. You can get them also in shapes of Hello Kitty. You can get them in shapes of Pikachu. All kinds of different things. So these are, if you want something, a shape in particular, these are really, really easy to use. They have these little things in the back. I'll pass this one around to you so you can see. They have these little tabs in the back. So you push down on the little tab and that's how you get the rice ball to come out of it. Pass that one around too. All right, so I know I need to go on to nori punches and glue, but I'm going to go back to looking at pretty pictures for a minute. All right, so in this particular picture, I used a Wilton cookie cutter to cut the moon shape out of a